the best way to learn is to teach something, because you're forced to articulate what you know. Somebody asks you a question and it's like, wow, I've never had to express that. Okay. So how do we approach this idea? Okay. Let's work it out. So suddenly I'm in the process of, now I have to generate that process in the conscious world, something that's been unconscious. And I have to take a step back and break it down. And that's incredibly valuable.
I completely agree. Like, one of the things that I realized when I fully opened my coach's practice a few years ago was that I was taking as much out of every coaching conversation as the other person was.
Yeah.
Every time, as you say, you're asked a question about something and it pulls information through in a different way. You have to look into the treasure chest of your inner world from an angle that you haven't before, and things look entirely different.
My style, I suppose, is always working, the first principle, always working from the principle that the student already knows what to do. So they already have it within them. They already know what they have to do on some level. And that everything that's stopping them from knowing, from actualizing how to do it, is external. It's something that they've placed upon themselves. These are stories. These are trauma. You know, the voice is it turns out, is quite a vulnerable piece of exploration for people. Very often people come to me, they've never heard their voice recorded, so they've never listened back to their own voice. So when they put the headphones on and they sit in front of a microphone, it's the first time they've ever done it.
And it's interesting, isn't it? Because most people will say, if you hear your voice for the first time on like low-level recording on your phone or something, it's a bit less now because we all have recording devices, but there was always that thing, wasn't there? The first time you hear your voice played back to you, like, that's not my voice.
Yeah.
Such a fascinating piece, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, the same way that actors on screen have to get used to, I mean, a lot of actors don't watch themselves on screen. And I know why. Because we really are the worst judge of our own performances. That's a slight segue, but
so basically keeping yourself away from the biggest critic you have.
yes, because you're making judgments based on, potentially anyway, on quite egoic aspects. So, you know, back in the coaching session, people hear themselves, they might not like it, and they might be making judgments. They might be remembering things that people have said about them externally. So they're creating these ideas, or remembering these ideas for things they've said. They've been prompts, you know, particularly at school, I think, and in our really formative years. You know, people are told they can't sing, for example. One of the cruelest things you can say to a child, I think, because it's simply not true. And so anyway, people come in with all sorts of ideas, stories about themselves, and in this context, particularly their voice. And so very often the process is about stripping away all those stories and simplifying